All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for logging on. We will have the first 15-20 minutes of our webinar to talk about the New York State Small Business Pandemic Grant. And you'll hear about the updates with that grant, and then we'll spend the rest of the webinar with the New York State New York State Minority and Women-Owned Business Certification application. And tonight, that will be the application process and the supporting documents. So we have Yadira, who is our relationship manager. She worked with Lendistry, who is the powering partner behind the New York State Small Business Pandemic Grant. And she's going to describe a little bit more about the eligibility, since there's been changes in the grant and some of the updates. And now we also have a deadline. So Yadira, when you're ready.
Sure. All right. So on my website, on the screen that I'm sharing, you will find the website. The website is nysmallbusinessrecovery.com. And you are able to see the changes at the very top. And in bright red, we have our deadline, which is September 30th. So as far as what the changes are, who can apply, all those businesses that started before March 1st, 2019 will be eligible for this grant. Those businesses must be able to present documentation that shows that they did have taxes filed for 2019 and 2020, and that they did not receive any additional funds over the $250,000 for the PPP program, or any of these limits for the EIDL loan. All right, so as long as you were underneath or at that amount, you're good to apply. There are some businesses that are not eligible, and those are listed up here. There are churches or religious institutions, government-owned entities, businesses, engage in political or lobbying activities, business that received a SBA restaurant revitalization grant program, tongue twisted, landlords with passive real estate businesses, illegal businesses, and any other ones that are seen unfit by the Empire State Development. As far as the eligible uses for the funds, this is a reimbursement grant. So the reimbursements are for expenses occurred during the COVID-19 closure, which would fall between March 1st, 2020 and April 1st, 2021. These are costs that most of us may have had taken money out of our savings account, our retirement funds, to cover a lot of these expenses that are listed on the eligible use of the funds for the grant. So this would be a way to repay those amounts back. All right. You would not be able to use these funds to repay or pay down any portion of a loan obtained through the federal COVID relief package, and or any New York State business assistance program. As far as additional information on how to apply, we do have the application guides. Once you select the guide, in the guide you will find not only all of the requirements, including what the gross amount for the grant amount is related to what you grossed in the year 2019. So wherever your expenses fall wherever your annual gross receipts for 2019 fall, this is the max amount that your business would be able to receive. Anybody underneath 25,000 in gross receipts for 2019 would not be eligible for this grant. This is for small businesses, so it would be those businesses that operate with 100 or less employees. And this is all the information we currently went over in the website. I do want to bring your attention to the fact that the deadline is at the end of the month, so September 30th. So you will no longer have those 14 days to complete your application since the deadline is before those 14 days. So please make sure that you are aware of the deadline. It goes over all of the stuff we just gave over, and it does go over these requirement documentations. So as mentioned, you will need to provide your 2019 and 2020 complete taxes and 2 proofs of your business location. It would be 2 of these that are listed down below. In addition, if you have a partner that owns more than 20% of the business, they will also need to provide information, and that's listed here. If you have employees, you will need to submit an NYS 45, and that's the most recent. As far as proof of business organization, you must provide one of the following. It be a current business license, certificate of organization, current business certificate, the New York State Certificate of Authority, or even a certificate of assumed name. All right. Once you are granted to receive the funds, you will be asked to complete a W-9. Bank information is being collected or is being asked to be submitted once you submit your application, so that there is an easy process. These are some examples of how the tax forms look like, and the type of business, proof of business organization documents. Just in case you don't know them by name, you can look up to see where the document that you have in your hand falls into place. All right. And as I mentioned, if you have anybody that has more than 20% ownership of your business, you will need to provide the information about the other owner. Okay. And we do have a form. By clicking this icon, you will receive this PowerPoint, and it will allow you to type in the information, and you will also be uploading a photo ID of that additional owner. So as I mentioned, you will have this information once requested, once you're approved and funded for. We want you to have a great application experience. So we ask that you use Chrome, clear out your cache, use incognito mode, disable your pop-up blockers, and submit all your documents as neatly as possible, under 50 megabytes, and their names not include a special character. It's really important to make sure that these instructions are followed so that you do not have any setbacks in entering your application. When you're ready to start your application, please make sure that your email does not start with info or end with contact.com or noreply.com. Personal emails are usually the best ones, but just make sure you're selecting one that you can always check and that you have access to. We do have additional languages available. Not only do we have the application guide in English, but in these additional languages. Google Translate on the website does allow for the whole website to be translated if you want to stick to either the website or the application guide. Starting in page 33 of the application guide, you'll have a guide of what each section of the application will ask and request of you. So you'll have the first part, how to get started with your application. You will be submitting your name, phone number, email address. Please use your cell number for this phone number so that you can receive and sign up as a recommendation, strong recommendation, to accept text messages. A lot of us don't recognize who's calling us, but sometimes when we do receive a text, we're more apt to answer or look at our email. And that's about what we send you. You know, someone at Lendistry is trying to communicate with you, please call, or please check your email for a communication from Lendistry. So we don't send any additional text that we don't need. Section 2, owner details. So this is your information. Once again, this is a request for your information. Request for the business information will be requested down here. All right. So this is where you would put your EIN number and such. Okay. So it's really important to note that we do ask for a business website. If you do not have a business website or a DBA, please make sure that you follow the instructions. And for the business website, enter none.com, or for a DBA, enter the word none. This will allow you to proceed to the next section. So keep that in mind. If at any time during the application you have questions, there are little dots with exclamation points that will give you additional information for what that question is asking of. Okay. For business owners that pay employees of a business that receive a W-2 must be included in the employee count. Okay. So that little disclaimer there. And then section 5, it's business demographics. We want to know a little bit more about your business and you, the owner. Please pay attention to section 6. Read and reread the questions. It's not a trick question, but sometimes we do read a little bit too fast and answer incorrectly. So please pay attention to section 6. And after you complete section 6, the section 7 will pop up, which is one of the reasons that you disable your pop-up blocker. So if you do not receive this, it's because your pop-up blocker is still on. So when you do receive this message, you're able to select yes or no. If you are completely done with your application and you have double checked it, please select yes. However, if you are unsure and you haven't checked it, so select save and continue later, and make sure you do check it and submit your application. Remember, applications must be submitted by 11:59 September 30th. So everybody that is seeing this, your deadline is before that. So please make sure that you have that information as quickly done as possible. Once you have submitted, you will receive a confirmation message. And that first section of the application will have given you a username and password. If by any chance you are disrupted or can no longer continue your application for whatever reason, your email will have your username, which is the email that you registered, and a temporary password. By clicking on check here to log in, you will be prompted to change your password and continue on with your application. All right. So it also goes through application statuses. If your application at any time says incomplete, make sure that you have completed the application, submitted it, and you have something along the lines as awaiting selection process. All right. There's additional in review, pending validation, and is as the application moves on. So anything is good except for the incomplete application. All right. There are notes on how to upload your information. Just remember the advice that I give you about not having the titles of the documents include any special characters and being less than 15 megabytes. Once you upload the information, the little icon will turn from pending to complete, and you are able to view your documents if you want to make sure that it was uploaded correctly. All right. Application certification is a required document. It's a 5-page document. You are able to download it here. Please make sure you download it, save it, then fill it out, then save it, then upload it. So the most important thing is to download and save before you fill it out. If you fill it out without saving it first, all the information that you did fill out will not save. You can do this by hand as well if you like. The banking information for Plaid is also here. If you have any questions or need an additional assistance, you can call our call center so they can help you search. All right. What is important about the banking is that when you receive your funds, it must go to a business account. So please make sure that you do have a business account ready to receive funding. All right, so this is the information. Call center is 877-721-0097. And once again, the website to apply is nysmallbusinessrecovery.com.
Thank you for that, Yadira. If anyone does have any questions, I'll give you like a couple minutes. You can raise your hand and we can unmute you, or you can put it in the chat. In the meantime, I do have a couple of questions I want to read to you, Ms. Yadira.
Sure.
So I'm not sure that my grant documentation is complete.
All right, so please make sure you call a call center. That number is located down at the bottom, and that's Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we are open on Saturdays from 9 to 5 p.m.
I also have another question. If I have an existing application, will my application be re-examined?
Yes, applications will be re-examined, and you do not, please do not submit another application. This will disrupt the process in which they are being re-examined.
Right, we have a raised hand from Kanisha. Kanisha, we're going to unmute you so you can ask your question.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, sorry. How are you?
Pretty good. How may I help you?
Yes, you said if I have no business website, what should I put on that line? I missed that.
None.com.
None.com.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Sure. And the application guide will assist you if you can have the application guide open, and we have a big button down up at the top and towards the center of the application for you to start your application as it goes. So I did receive an another question as far as what the changes have been. You no longer need to have a profit in 2019. So profit requirement has been taken off. The requirement of having 25% loss is no longer in effect. And we are also no longer looking at any pandemic unemployment assistance or federal pandemic unemployment for 2020.
Right.
So it opens up a lot of more eligibility across all those that had businesses before March 1st.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for the question.
Yadira, I have another question for you.
Sure.
This is about uploading the documentation. So in the application, I just want to confirm, because now that there is the deadline, in the application, it did say you needed those initial 4 documents, and then the other documentation was after you were selected. You recommend just uploading everything now?
Yes.
Okay.
Because of the deadline and everything that is now in place, it is asked that all required documents and banking information are uploaded.
Okay, thank you for that. Got to make some phone calls.
Yes, please.
Do we have any other questions? Anyone else want to raise their hand or put something in the Q&A or chat?
All right. So
Jasmine?
I know that this question is in the back of minds of someone. When should I start my application? You can start your application after the meeting, tomorrow during breakfast. Just make sure that you please submit it by September 30th. Once again, deadline is September 30th. You could start the application at any time.
Jasmine, your hand was raised, but it's back down now. Did you not have a question? I just want to see, because if you do have a question, I want to answer that before we move on to the next section of our webinar.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not seeing any other questions, but I am going to put both the Lendistry helpline number in the chat as well as the office number. So if you do have any questions, you can contact us.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, Dara.
Thank you for joining. So we're now going to transfer over to our MWBE section of the webinar presented by Ms. Kenya Harvey.
Hello, everyone. And I want to thank everyone for being on tonight. I know, with the busy schedules, you guys have businesses that you run in the daytime and maybe family members that you're taking care of, but I'm totally grateful for you guys being on here tonight with me. Hold on a moment. Let me get to the presentation. Okay. Okay. So tonight's presentation, we're going to talk about the certification application process and the supporting documents. It'll be presented by me, Kenya Harvey. I'm one of the project coordinators and MWBE consultant here at the center. That one. For some reason, I believe I'm having. Okay, I'm gonna have to take it off of slideshow. For some reason, I'm not able to change my screen, my slides.
Click enter.
I've been doing that. It's like frozen. Okay. So, let's see if this will. Okay, I really do not like to do that like that, but let's see how it goes this time. Okay, there it is. No, it froze up. So again, we're talking about New York State MWBE certification. And in this certification, there are 3 different statuses that you can apply for in this application. One being the MBE certification, that's for a minority business owner. We have the WBE certification, and that's for women business owners. And then in some situations, we do have a woman and a minority, which will qualify for the MWBE certification. So they would have 2 statuses for when they apply for that certification. So let's jump into a little bit of the eligibility requirements. Under the Article 15A of the Executive Law, any for-profit, very important that you know that it is a for-profit certification application process. Firm that is at least 51% owned, operated, and controlled by citizens or permanent resident alien who is either a woman or minority is eligible for certification. The list of minority groups who are eligible, that would be Black persons having origins from many of the Black African racial groups. We have Hispanic persons of Mexican, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, Central or South American descent, of either Native or American or Latin American origin, regardless of race. You also have Asian Pacific persons having origins from the Far East, Southeast Asia, or the Pacific Islands. Asian Indian subcontinent persons having origins from the Indian subcontinent. Native American persons having origins in any of the original peoples of North America. So again, we're going to talk a little bit more about the MBE, WBE, and MWBE certification. So the businesses or the owners applying must demonstrate that it's independently owned, operated, and controlled by the minority and or the woman. The membership must be real, the ownership must be real, substantial, and continuing. And the minority or the woman member must exercise the authority to independently control the day-to-day business decisions. The personal net worth for each minority or woman owner who the certification is based upon or relied upon cannot have a net worth exceeding 3.5 million after allowable deductions. It does not include the ownership interest in the certified MWBE firm, the individual's equity in his and her primary residence, up to 750,000 of any qualified retirement savings plan. Also, the small business restriction that it cannot exceed 300 employees. It must operate independently of other firms, and you must demonstrate business activity and be in operation for at least 1 year. Out-of-state applicants can apply, but the firm is to be currently certified as an MWBE in their home state, should they have the same process, before applying for certification with New York State. If so, the firm must be registered with New York State Department of State to have authority to do business here prior to starting that application. And to acquire more about how to obtain the authority to do business in New York State for out-of-state applicants, you would go to the Department of State, Division of Corporations, or you can call 518-473-2494. I also have their email, which is corporations@dos.state.ny.us. So let's talk a little bit about a 1-year business activity waiver. So one of the eligibility requirements is that you be in business for at least a year. So there is a waiver that you can apply for that will waive this eligibility requirement. So if you have been, let's say you formally started your business last month and you want to apply, it's not even a full year yet, you could apply for this waiver if you can demonstrate that you were actually doing this before you actually formally started doing the business. Okay. To do so, you must request this waiver in writing. The request will come with supporting documents. I'd say the response time is about 1 to 2 weeks, roughly, before you would hear something back about whether you were approved or not. And the decisions are made case by case. So it really depends on the applicant and the supporting documents, right? Once you get approved for the waiver, you will include this waiver with the certification affidavit, which we'll go into a little bit later in the presentation, in the application itself. Okay, and if you want to learn more about the waiver or how you can get this waiver, you can either contact me here at the center, or you could call the MWBE certification at 212-803-2414, or you could send them an email at the MWBE certification at esd.ny.gov. So in this application, there are going to be some mandatory documents you will need to upload to the application. So proof of citizenship and gender, the proof required or necessary to upload in the application would be your birth records, birth certificate, your US passport, a military record, or your green cards. For business documents, we would say the NYS 45 forms and the W-3 forms. Any loan or credit agreements, your leases, if you own a home, your mortgage statement or the deed, any third-party supply agreements as well. If you're a partnership and an LLC, again, you will still need your assumed name certificate from the county clerk, the operating/partnership agreement, and the articles of incorporation. Complete copies of the most recent year of personal and business taxes is a must, including the IRS 1065 and your Schedule K-1 tax forms. In addition to these forms here, for your professional background, so your experience in the industry, you would want to provide your resume, but be sure to have your business information updated on the resume. Any licenses, professional licenses that you may have to operate in that industry, or permits or certifications will all be mandatory for this application. So let's jump into the application. So if many of you who are not familiar with this site, this is the New York State contract system, the site where you would start the application. You're able to view the directory for MWBE certifieds, and you're able to look up opportunities here at this site as well. You're also able to update your profile. So if your NAICS codes change while you were certified, you can also come back to this site to update that in your profile. And to get to this application, the site is ny.new.nycontracts.com. So when you get a moment, you can go to the site and just, get familiar with the tabs here. If you see at the top under MWBE certification, under the About, that first tab to certify or recertify with New York will be your starting point. You will click on that tab there and choose option 1 to create your vendor profile to get started. Once you create your vendor profile, you're then able to get access to into the system to be able to open up an application as an MBE, a WBE, or both. The application process. So like I just stated, you would choose option 1 to create a business profile. While doing so, you will create your username and password. Okay, you start a new WBE, MBE, or MWBE certification application. The system will provide the application based on your current business structure. So if you're a sole proprietor, the questions will be geared towards sole proprietorship. If you're a corporation, the questions will be geared towards a corporation. If you're an LLC, same questions will be given for LLC applicants. So another question that comes up when you first open this application, because you will be given a choice to either choose to electronically upload the documents, fax them, or mail in the supporting documents. I strongly advise electronic upload. It's more efficient this way, and it just eases the ease of not having documents lost, misplaced, didn't get to the person, didn't go through, technical issues. Electronic upload is more efficient. The next step, know the supporting documents required. So knowing which documents you need, we discussed some of them in the beginning, but there are other supporting documents that you'll need, and we'll talk a little bit later in the presentation. But know the documents, and knowing the documents, there is a checklist that you will have. I call it the Bible, that can help you gather those documents, or you reach out to the EAC Center, reach out to us or me, and I will help guide you through that process. Monitor the date of deletion. Very important. Once the application is open, it's open for 90 days, right? Once that 90 days is up, that application will be deleted. If it's deleted, we can't get all that stuff if you uploaded documents. Some parts of the application we can't get that information back. You'll have to go back in and start filling in the application. Now it will pre-fill in what the information was put in from the vendor profile. So that'll always be there, but each other section you will have to go back in and fill it in. So, but there are extensions. So if you see you're reaching to the 90-day and you need more time, you can press that extend button at the top under your name, and it'll extend it for only 1 week. Now you can press extend for as long as you need to extend it. I mean, I've pressed it a couple times, so I could extend it for 4 weeks. I could extend it for 5 weeks. Sometimes it won't let you go past a duration of time. And if so, you would contact the MWBE help desk, MWBE help desk, certification help desk, so that they can extend it for you. So you won't be at a loss if you're not able to do it on your own in the application. The help desk would surely have no problem doing that for you. So in this application, every question must be answered, right? And because every question must be answered, we can't leave anything unopened or unanswered. So if it's a question in there that's not applicable to you, you would say not applicable, but you would also have to indicate the reason why it's not applicable. Right. And it's on a regular Word doc, but a statement, if you're writing a statement in regards to maybe not having a receipt for something, or maybe your source of capitalization, depending how long ago you started your business, you're not able to get certain backup document, surely write that statement. But I truly advise it to be on your letterhead, your company letterhead. Okay, and again, the MWBE help desk information the number is 212-803-2414, or their email is mwbecertification@esd.ny.gov. So we're going to jump into the application. I'm going to break down the application sections of the application with you tonight. Okay, so the first section, it's about the company profile. So this is where you would add your business information, your 3 years gross receipts, and the number of employees you have, and also the area in which you want to conduct business. But I choose this type of information in this section because it's stuff that you really need to add to, right? Add in. So 3 years gross receipts. So the gross receipts can be found on your tax returns. 2019, 2020, and 2021 you will need. The next section would be ownership information. And this section is where you add the owner's info, the sources of capitalization as well, and the names of board of directors. So if it's just one single owner, 100% one owner, it will just be you as a board of one of the members of the board. So it doesn't matter if it's just you, it's just you, right? Sources of capitalization. So this will be where you would add in what you started, what you put into the business when you started. Now, we talked a little bit about sources of capitalization in the previous webinar last week, but expertise. A lot of people don't really think about what their expertise that they're bringing in to the business as a source of capitalization when it is, right? Because without that expertise, you wouldn't be able to fully operate that industry. It really depends on the industry. So, and also like if you're a corporation, right, you paid a filing receipt to start that corp, right? You paid a fee to pay to start an LLC. You pay a fee at the county clerk's office. These are all out of your pocket, right? So this will be a source of capitalization on your part as well. If you would like to learn a little bit more about the sources of capitalization, we do have a clip from on our Facebook from the last workshop last week. You're free to look at that, or feel free to give us a call and we will set up a meeting and go over this. Also, the third section, commodities and services. In this section, you're going to add a detailed description of services that you provide, right? And then also select your NACIC codes. So, but I always tell clients that in this section, that's your marketing. That's your marketing for your business, because the same description that you put in the application will be the one that they put on the directory for MWBE certified. So you want to be as detailed as possible. We also talked about this last week as well. So just be as detailed as possible, because it's your marketing pitch. So if I'm a buyer and I'm looking up a certified MWBE based on their NACIC codes, and I'm looking and I see, you know, I provide consulting services. That's very broad, right? What type of consulting service do you provide? So you want to list, and you don't want to leave out any of the services. You want to be as detailed as possible. Now, your NACIC codes, there is a NACIC code lookup that's in the application, so you don't really have to worry about looking up the codes before you get to the application, because you could do that while you're in the application. You just make sure the services that you're looking up are current, and they're currently being performed within the past year or so. Okay. Let's go to business operations. So section 4 is very important as well. So this is the section where you will list the owner's managerial responsibilities, right? So there's about 12 lists of there's a few lists of responsibilities that are there, and you would list who's, you know, if the owner is the one responsible for that duty. In section 4C and 4D is also an important section as well. This is the sections where it's going to ask you for your business activity, proof of business, so your clients over the last 3 years. So 2019, 2020, 2021, your clients, right? Let's grab 2 from each year if you can. And then you would list the location of the work, how much you were paid, and when, right? When did it occur? Would also be in that section as well. So some things to start thinking about, either before you open this application or while you're probably currently going through it now, to think about that business activity and your clients, which client, and it's the largest, right? So you want to use the biggest clients you've worked with in this application. Also, the previous year. So it's current and previous, right? Section 5, company assets and liabilities. You would list rented or leased office space, a warehouse, plant, or yard space your business occupies. It's either, you know, you have it rented or it's leased, but either or, you would still upload this to provide the proof to provide that. Our application section breakdown continued. So section 6. Relationships with other businesses. So you would add your relationships with other firms. And also, it also asks about relationships, like, let's say, anyone in your immediate family, right, have a relationship with another business. And sometimes you may have, you know, your spouse may have their own business, or say you have, maybe you're employed in the daytime, or maybe you have a part-time job, or you're consulting with another firm or something. You would truly add it in section 6. Section 7, this is a really, I mean, the sections become less information needed to actually complete it. So section 7 and section 8 are really like either you add in your attorney, your accountant, and other consultants that you may have information in there, and, you know, save and continue. Now, when you get to section 8, other certifications, so are you certified with other agencies? Yes or no? Save and continue, right? That's 7 and 8, or really 6, 7, or 8 questions that you input that really doesn't take much time to complete. So now we're going to jump into the document list. So in this document list, there are mandatory documents that you will need to complete, and some get notarized, right? One being the certification affidavit. That form gets completed for both MWBE, I'm sorry, a WBE and a minority MWBE. There are sections that you would sign and notarize. I believe I see a raised hand. Jen, do you want me to take a question now, or do you want me to wait to the end? All right, let's see what the questions are. Okay, so I have a question here for citizenship. Do you need only one or multiple? I'm not sure if that was for MWBE or for the grant. I guess we'll revisit this question a little later in the presentation. Jennifer? Okay, we'll take questions toward the end. Attachment A, MWBE, certification individual net worth affidavit. So you will complete this attachment A to certify your net worth, right? And the next form, the attachment B, is a personal financial worksheet, which we'll use to help calculate your personal net worth if you're not really sure of what it is. And I'm actually going to go into those forms right now. I'm just going to start my screen. So this is the attachment A, and this is what the form looks like. So as you can see here, you just add your name, your social, what percentage you are in equity in the business here. Is it 51, 100, 70? You add it there, and then you would add your personal net worth right there. And then once that's all completed at the top, at the bottom, you see you sign, print, and notarize this form. Okay. All right, let's get to the NAGA form. Down. So this one here is the certification affidavit. This form here is where you would notarize. It's a few pages. It actually started out with 2 pages, and now they have expanded it. So I believe it's like 5, right? But this will be the page. Get to it. This will be the page where you would sign whether you are agreeing to be a minority or woman applicant. And at the top is for certification for the application itself. Okay, and then you would notarize it. Okay. Now, I do want to jump into the attachment B worksheet. Hold on 1 moment. So this worksheet here, you will use to help calculate your personal net worth. So, remember that this worksheet does not have to be uploaded if your net worth does not exceed 1.3 million. So I do advise if less than your net worth is less, or you find out that it's less than 1.3 million, that's great, right? We'll use that amount and put it on the attachment A and notarize that. But we do not need to add this worksheet to the application. Now, if it does, exceed that, you will complete this worksheet and then upload it to the section in the application. And just know that on this application, your primary residence does not get calculated into the net, it's not considered in the net worth here. So property. Now, if you have every other property, rentals, condos, whatever you have after your primary does get considered. Okay. So, okay, oh wow. So this slide has sources of capitalization in it. Great. So, the types of capitalizations that you can make in this business would be to purchase major equipment, right? Used from your personal savings account or accounts to pay for company equipment, right? Or savings or accounts to pay for company equipment. Vehicles, use of personal vehicle or purchase of company business, for purchase for company business, for business. Business registration filing fees, we talked about that as well. Purchase or rent property, the business location. How about purchase inventory? And again, we talked about expertise. Maybe you needed to hire employees or finance receivables. You definitely can use these sort of sources of capitalization to report in the application itself. So the business description. So I briefly talked about it a little bit, and now this is the example of how to write a detailed description of services in the application. So we want to stay away from the one sentence description. So I provide environmental consulting services. Like I said, it doesn't really say much, right? You want to actually go down and look at this example on the bottom. Our firm specializes in providing terrestrial, ecological, environmental services. Our primary areas of expertise include flora and fauna surveys, biological inventories, wetland delineations, rare species surveys, and habitat suitability assessments, vernal pool surveys, invasive species, identification and mapping, habitat, community evaluations and mapping, bird surveys by sight and sound, species monitoring using unmanned aircraft. That is very detailed, right? I don't believe this description leaves anything out as much as they put in it, right? There shouldn't be any service not covered in this description. And this is how the client's description should look. Like again, I said, it's your marketing page. It's your marketing pitch for agency buyers to see, right? I provide environmental consulting services does not tell the buyer anything, right? But the one on the bottom says a lot. So even if they were looking for services with flora and fauna surveys, but now they see that you do bird surveys. So maybe they have something else coming down the line with that as well that they can keep you on for, so always be descriptive as possible. The NACI code lookup. I guess I went ahead of the slides a little bit when I was talking about them because it seemed relevant at the time. But again, the code selected must represent the current business activities. The codes for the activities, like if you choose codes and therefore activities that you're not doing, they're not going to approve them, right? So the codes have to match the invoices or the purchase or the agreements, right? And like I said, the codes can be updated later. So if you choose 2 codes and later on you're like, I just added a new service, definitely, go to the application site on the New York State Contract Reporter to update your profile. The addendums. New York City Department of Small Business Services is an addendum that you can complete in the New York State application. And this addendum, on page 3, there is a vendor number that you will need to incorporate onto this page. And to get that number, the vendor number, you will go to the payee information portal, and then you would activate a new registration, and it takes about maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes to complete online. Once you're done, you get that vendor number like right away. It displays right away in addition to your New York City W-9. Okay. So when you complete that, we load up to the application. This addendum does not need to be notarized. You just complete it, sign it, and I believe it asks for your social and upload. but be sure to have that vendor number prior to uploading it to the application. Because we don't want that to be the reason why the application gets delayed in the process for not having the vendor number. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey is another addendum that you can complete in this New York State application. This addendum must get notarized. Now, you must also register on in their vendor portal site. You have to register as a vendor with them on their site. And they do give you a number, but it isn't asked for on the addendum. Erie and City of Buffalo Joint Certification Committee addendum is in there as well, but the vendor number is asked for. They do ask for a vendor number. So I would also suggest you go into their site, and then the instructions is on the addendum to apply. Now, I do urge that if you're able to conduct business in Erie or in Buffalo, surely go after that certification. But if it's a business that you have to like physically be there and it may be demanding to maybe do, I wouldn't suggest applying for that certification, because one, you have to have a presence there, and you really have to have the ability to do work there, right? And I did want to go into those forms. Hold on one moment. Okay, so I'm going to show you the So this one is the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and this is what that addendum looks like. So it is a few pages, but there's a lot of information in it. See, register your business at. So this is the site where you would go to get registered in their database. Right. There's other links and instructions. Now, this page gets, you sign and date, and here's the page that gets notarized. Now, I do want you to pay close attention to the A and B, because it's A and B based on your business structure. You would complete the section based on your structure. So if you see for A, it says for sole proprietorships, partnerships, and then limited liability partnerships at the top. You sign and date if you're a part of that structure. Now for B, for corporations and limited liability companies, you would sign, put your title, your officer title, and the name of the corporation. So the information is a little different. You can see for corporations, they do ask for a little more, as if, other than as if you were a sole proprietor. But just keep that in mind depending on your structure, is the one that you complete. So you don't do both. You don't do both A and B. You choose one or the other. You're either one or the other. Because remember, the application is structured based on the questions are structured based on your structure, your business structure. So whether you're a corporation, a sole proprietor, LLC, same way this addendum is separated as well. So you make sure you sign in the right spot for you. Okay, let me just jump into another form. So this one here is the New York City Small Business Services Addendum. So if you want to do business with New York City, you will complete this addendum in the New York State application. Now I want to show you, it's simple and it's really easy to complete. Let me go down a little bit. So you enter basic information like your business name, address, social EIN number, and contact. But let's go to page 3. Here it is. So you see here at the top where it says, do you have a valid New York City FMS vendor number? You want to say yes. You want to say yes, because you need that in order to do business with the city. So if you don't have it, just go apply for it. So here's some instructions down here. on this site here. You can go here, but to get the FMS number, again, you can go to the payee information portal to apply for it. More questions. It's asking business presence. You have that there in the city, whether you have commercial or personal insurance, whether your business takes all credit cards or not. And then you will, sign this, your title and the firm name or your business name, sign and date. Okay. Now there is the one for Erie. One moment. Okay, so this is what the Erie looks like. So this application, sort of, resembles New York City a little bit. But it does ask you a little bit more questions here. And they're asking the question too, has your business been actively in operation for at least a year? Yes or no? Because if it's no, business has to be, to be eligible, it has to be in business for at least a year to apply. And then here is the vendor number for Erie, and Erie and City of Buffalo. So it's asking if you have a vendor number here. So you want to say yes. So before doing so, let's, this is the instructions on where to apply. This addendum gives you the numbers, and I believe the actually link to the website. Let's see. Commercial and professional insurance again. So if your business requires insurance, whether it be commercial or if you just have it for professional use, I believe you should actually get it if you don't already have it, because it does look good at the end of the day for a buyer looking for your services, knowing that you are insured. Okay. So that was the end of the addendums. Let's go back to the slideshow. Okay. Terms interest. Okay. So once the application gets submitted, this is a new process for review. I believe it just started over the year or so. So it's broken up into 4 phases, the new process. So once you can finish your application, submit it, it goes into phase 1 once it's accepted. So the application intake, right? So once the application is accepted, they have to make sure that you have everything that the application needs in order to be, considered, for the review, right? So if it's not all there, they will request, let's say, send you to phase 2 to verify documents or ask for more documents, right? When you get to phase 3, it's a compliance. So your NAICS codes. So those NAICS codes that you choose in the application, they're going through them to see if they can assign them to you or not. And the only way, like I said, you can get these codes is if you have the backups, the proof, signed agreements between you and clients detailing the description of the work, right? They have to see the actual work that relates to the code, right? To back up the proof so that you're able to get that code assigned. Phase 4 is when the application gets the decision outcome, whether it's going to be approved or not. Now, this application could get hemmed up in one of the phases. And, we try to ensure that the application is complete and it has the documents that it needs to go through this process efficiently, right? So when you're completing the application, you make sure that the right documents are in there, and that you don't leave anything that's being asked for out. Or if they ask for additional information, say you're in phase 2 and they need more clarification. So, things may not line up as well with what's in there, so they may ask for more. So it always could get hemmed up somewhere else in the phases. But, a smooth sailing application has all the documents, has all the information in it. And it really depends on the application, the applicant, right? Or the application. So each application is it's different based on the structures and the information that they're asking for. So, just try to, complete everything that's asked for in the application by submitting, when you submit it. So when you submit, everything that it needs should be in there. And that's why I say get your vendor numbers before you actually upload, those the addendums. Because we don't want the application to be hemmed up anywhere. We want it to go through smoothly so that you get a smooth, quick decision. Now, to check the status of the application, again, we talked a lot about the MWBE certification help desk and their number, but that's where you would go to follow up on this application status, right? To learn more about it. And if if you're a client here, like we do advocate, I advocate for the clients here with the department. So, if you're a client and you work with me with the application, I would truly, look into the statuses for you if you want me to, if that's something you want me to do, or, strongly okay if you, it's okay if you just want to go through and give them a call yourself or send them an email to follow up on that application. So this will be the time for questions. You guys have been on since about 7 o'clock, and it's a little bit after 8 now. So I don't want to, okay. You, Romer, Jennifer?
Good afternoon. How are you doing today? Good evening, rather.
Hi, Romer.
Okay, I got a couple questions. One is with respect to the identification you would need for your MWBE status. You had on the screen a birth certificate, a US passport, military ID. Do I need to give multiple or just one?
Well, just one. It's just
right.
Either or. Yeah.
All right. The second question I had is with respect to the taxes that you'd have to show on that same screen. Now, if I open my business less than a year, it'll be coming up on a year soon, next month. When it does, I still wouldn't have filed my business taxes yet. So what would I do in that situation?
Wait till you file your business taxes. They're going to ask for it. It's required in the application. And if you don't have, it'll be one of those things that'll get stuck in one of the phases because you don't have the taxes.
Copy that.
Yeah, so I would strongly do the taxes. Now, if you know when your taxes are going to be done, remember when you open the application, you have 3 months to complete it, 90 days. So if you know your taxes are going to be done next month, you can open it up this month and get started on it, right? But I would strongly urge you to wait till you do the taxes. If you had, if it's not like immediately right now that you're going to do it, wait till you get close to doing it. If not, do it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
The application. You're welcome. Okay, there's more questions. Jennifer, I believe I see. Were the slides not changing for you? They were changing on my end.
Jen is not here.
I'm sorry?
Jennifer left.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Jay.
So anyone have a question, they can raise their hand.
Okay. Any questions?
And also in Facebook, still there is no any question right now.
No questions. Okay, that's great. Alrighty. So while we're waiting for more questions to come in, let's answer these. Okay, Ramon, you sure you can? It's free to talk. He's open, right, Jay?
I am now. One other question, Kenya. So
Sure.
bang the bullets. Once we submit the application, how long should we be expected to get the approval?
So, that's the whole thing about the certification. And I know they're working on trying to make this process more efficient and more to make it, go quicker, right, for you. So it really depends on the application, right? Um, I've seen it, with this new system, it's really hard to say, right? Because it could be anywhere between a month to 6 months, right? This is the duration that I'm looking at. So just keep that estimate in mind. It could be a month to 6, it could be less than a month, but up to 6 months is what I've been told. And
All right.
yeah,
Thank you.
recently. So I just want to do some house cleaning. So upcoming webinars, guys. The next week webinar, we're going to do the New York State Contract Reporter with Chris McCann, and she's going to show you how to look up opportunities on the New York State Contract Reporter. Awesome, awesome, awesome webinar. I urge you all to attend that. She can, give you some key, help you with some keywords for your industry and how to get those searches up for you to get to look up those opportunities. Also on October 6th, we're going to do capability statement and networking for procurement. So I'll be going over the capability statement to show you how to draft a capability statement in those sections or components of the statement and what to do with it when you're networking for procurement. We're also going to have a webinar on the 13th, but that's going to be announced. On October 20th, Arid ECN will be doing a storytelling webinar for businesses. So she's going to help you prepare those stories or those good, I want to say pitches or stories that will get clientele, get your clients in to get more involved in the business or become a customer for you. November 10th, we're going to revisit the MWBE panel discussion. And on November 17th, we're going to do an introduction to MWBE certification. So if you missed it last week, join in for the November 10th and November 17th webinars for more information. And if there are no other questions, hold on one moment. I do want to say thank you for stopping by. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week in the New York State Contract Reporter webinar. And if you have any other questions about the MWBE certification, feel free to reach out. My contact information, my phone number is 631-851-6201. So you can give me a call and or if you have any questions about the certification or registration for the upcoming webinars. I just want to thank you all and have a good night.